Hello, 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 and welcome to my WIP Chat. WIP stands for Work in Progress, so grab whatever chore, craft, hobby, or perhaps walking the dog, other exercise that it is that you need to do right now, and let me keep you company for a little while. If this is your first time visiting my channel, thank you so much for stopping by. And of course, if you've been here before, thank you for returning. While I have your attention, if you would please remember to like this video and consider subscribing to my channel, I would really appreciate it. And if you have any friends that you think might be interested in hearing some of my quirky tales, please let them know about my channel as well. All right, guys, so what am I currently working on? I'm actually almost done, a day late, with my hashtag DP for Black History Month event painting. And this was an event that was hosted by Sam over at Blunts and Gems for the month of February. The event has since ended. I am down to my final square of my painting for that event. So I'm really excited. I actually am super impressed that it's March 1st when I'm recording this, and I'm down to just this one last square. I feel really good about that considering how busy my life gets during the winter with the kids' schedules, specifically with wrestling. And if you are new here, you will not realize just how much a crafting YouTube channel manages to talk about the sport of wrestling until perhaps tonight or this afternoon or this morning, whenever you happen to catch this WIP Chat. But my painting is by Carrot Art, and very soon I will do a post review on this. I have been keeping some notes on it, and I do have some thoughts that I would like to share about this painting. For the most part, though, it has been a lot of fun to do. The colors are nice. The canvas is nice. It has been a good experience. So I will link the information to that below. My tray is still my tray from Unimade. I am in love with this tray. My pen is from Jim's Handmade Pens. I looked to Jim's Handmade Pens. It's an Etsy shop based on the recommendation of one of you guys, or maybe a couple of you had suggested going there to check out what it was that he had to offer. So the criteria that I was looking for was a smaller pen, double-sided, dual-ended, of course. I like having a single tip and then a four-placer. That is what I like. I wanted a shorter pen just because I flip between the two an awful lot. I do have some minor arthritis, and with that added weight with the longer pen, it was just very stressful on my hand. I love this. If I were to make one change, it would be that this pen would be slightly fatter. I think I'd like it just a little bit fatter, and it could be up to maybe about ½ an inch longer. So maybe to about right here with the actual like pin length, and then of course the tip on top of that. And that would be ideal. So, you know, add maybe about ½ an inch in diameter around the whole thing and about ½ an inch in length. And that would probably be my ideal pen. I really enjoy using this, so much so that since I have gotten it, I have not even used another pen. So if any of you know where I can maybe get something that more closely matches the dimensions that I gave you, of course, without even providing you actual dimensions for this, but to me, what this looks like is it is exactly half of a standard drill pin length, which I think a standard drill pin is about 7 inches. So I think this is probably about 3.5 inches in length. Maybe only 3, but I do love it. But if anyone happens to have an idea on where I could maybe find even more closely what I am describing, I would love to hear from you. And I think that's really about it. I am using a combination of putty from Mary Making Crafts. It's her Spring Rain Mary Mud. I love this. It's really pretty, and I keep like smelling it. It's this beautiful, mild floral scent, and I think I really needed that today. It's been really crazy weather around here, and I think I'm kind of starting to feel somewhat desperate for spring to arrive. Also, I'd just like to add that, doesn't it feel like so good to pull off that last cover sheet or that last section of the plastic wrap on top and know, oh, I only have one square. I mean, doesn't it just feel like so good? Like, I don't know, maybe it's just me, but I feel so accomplished. Like, oh, it's my last one. I can just rip it off. So yeah, the weather around here has been quite crazy. If you are new here and you don't know where I am located, I do live in the state of Michigan in the US. And Michigan it's actually a pretty large state. If you are really unfamiliar, it's made up of two peninsulas. There is the Upper Peninsula, which is actually connected to the state of Wisconsin. And then there is the Lower Peninsula that sits on top of Indiana and Ohio, or right across from Ontario. So that might maybe possibly help you place that a little bit. But the only thing that actually connects the two peninsulas is the Mackinac Bridge, which is one of the longest. What kind of bridge is it? It's a suspension bridge. It's one of the longer suspension bridges in the world. And that's, other than taking a ferry, that's the only way that you can actually go from the Lower Peninsula to the Upper Peninsula. Unless, of course, it's during the winter, in which case, depending on weather, the bridge shuts down, yada, yada, yada. Anyway, Michigan, though, because of where it's kind of located and everything, weather throughout the entire state can be quite diverse. And I am kind of like mid-northern part of the Lower Peninsula. So even though I come from southwest part of the state, which is not really all that far from where I currently live, the weather can be very, very different between here and there. I actually live in a different temperate zone, and it was not more obvious than this week when down by where like my parents and my sisters still live, they were just getting rain earlier this week. Meanwhile, it was well below freezing up here with frigid wind chills. And with that warmer air quickly cooling as it was moving further north, we got hit with quite the ice storm this week. It was crazy. I actually, when I went out to get the mail on Monday, it was Monday, I took some video footage because you just walked outside and you could just hear trees snapping under the weight of all the ice all over. I mean, it was like a snap, crackle, pop. It almost sounded a little bit like rifle shots. It was crazy. So I did take some footage and I edited that down, and you can actually watch that. I did put that up as a short on my channel Monday afternoon. Definitely turn the volume up because you can hear all of the snapping of the trees. And then when I did make it down to the mailbox, right across the street, I heard a great big snap and a tree branch fell down not far from where our mailbox is. So I quickly got our mail and then I came back inside, and that is where I stayed for the remainder of the day until later in the day yesterday when finally stuff had melted off. But yesterday morning it was still so noisy because you just kept hearing all of the ice falling off and more branches breaking down. It was crazy. So needless to say, my children were home from school on Monday. They were home from school on Tuesday. And still this morning, which is Wednesday, they had a 2-hour delay yet. And that is because it kind of looks a little post-apocalyptic around here right now with all of the debris on the ground. There's been, a decent amount of structural damage that has been done. It is not severe just because we live in the middle of nowhere. So it's not like there's a huge population. But even more than that, a lot of people are still without power. When I was looking around on social media just a little while ago, there are still people waiting for power. So they are now going on, 2.5 full days without electricity. And what I find kind of interesting, and if you are, again, kind of familiar with me and my channel, part of what I do talk about on here quite a bit is the differences between rural life and urban life. And I grew up, in the suburbs, and my husband grew up in the city, and we moved to the middle of nowhere, kind of not by choice. That's kind of a long story in and of itself, and I'm not going to get into that now, but we have since lived here. It's now been almost a full 15 years, and it took us about 9 or 10 years to acclimate to living in a very rural location versus people who move from the country into the city. They adapt far more quickly, but the opposite is very hard to do. And I dare say that most people who do move from the city to the country don't make it. They end up moving back. And truthfully, we would have had that been an option for us, but it wasn't. And that's just because we bought our house in spring of 2008. And if you are old enough to know what that means in relation to economic situations in our country, enough said. If you're not, count yourself lucky and do some research and look into it so that hopefully you will not end up doing what we did. Anyway, but last week, the kids had snow days as well. And that's because we were hit with some snowstorms. But down south, they had ice storms. And it's just interesting because like Kalamazoo area, which is like mid-southern part of the state, they were reporting that something like 38% of their population did not have electricity. They had to call a state of emergency. And, that made like national news, and it was a really big deal, and everybody knew about it. And, the governor is there to help out. And, it's this really big, hairy deal. But of course, up here in the middle of nowhere, because you're not dealing with the same number of people, I can pretty much guarantee that more than 38% of our population did not have electricity by Tuesday night. Did it make news? No. It didn't. Nobody cares. We live in the middle of nowhere. Nobody cares. And it's not like there's a plethora of places that people can go to warm up. And because most of us don't have city water, we have well water. That means we don't have access to running water because we need our electricity to run our pumps in order to have water. No heat, no water, and no public facilities. So, but yet, nobody ever hears about that. And frankly, I think a lot of city people don't even think about that. They don't even consider that. What do you mean you don't have water? Nope, we don't have water. And no, there isn't anywhere to go to warm up. So this is why the warnings about, don't ever use a gas stove to try and heat your house are very, very real and very concerning. Because there are people who I know have been kind of desperate the last couple of days. I believe, though, things are starting to get cleaned up now and everything, and so that's really, really good. But now there's a chance that we're going to be hit again with 6 inches of snow on Friday. We'll see if that actually happens. I don't know if it will or not, and I won't be here. So there, I'm not going to be here. I won't get to see it if it does. That's because middle daughter and I, my wrestling fanatic daughter and I, we are leaving tomorrow, Thursday, for what is for her probably on par with telling her she's going to Disney World. And I am not even like making that up. It is a weekend full of wrestling and really good wrestling. All right. And this child is so she has been excited. She is beyond excited. She's packed up. She's ready to go. Tomorrow, I talked about picking her and her sister up from quiz bowl practice after school. And she was really kind of taken aback by that because it was, but aren't we going to leave? Don't I have to ride the bus home? Like, She's like, let's go. Let's hit the road, Mom. So what is all this wrestling that we're going to? You may be wondering. And even if you're not, I'm going to tell you anyway. It is for high school state individual wrestling finals, which really, really quickly here, wrestling is mostly an individual sport, but it's also a team sport. So what happens is you will have a team finals, which that took place last weekend. And our high school team did make it to regionals this year for the first time since 2017. And then, there's team finals and they move on and they compete at the state level. That happened last weekend. There were literally no surprises in who won in our division at all. None. It was wholly anticipated. But then there's also individual finals. So wrestling is kind of unique because you don't just have like one set of final events. You have two. You have the team and then you have the individuals. So for individuals, it works the same way as team. In Michigan, you compete at a district level, and then you compete at a regional level, and then you compete at the state level. And so this is the state level competition for individual wrestling, which is, just one person who is wrestling. It's possible to send up to 14 kids from your high school team to state individual finals. And that is because there are 14 weight classes in high school wrestling. But a number of years ago, Michigan changed it so that it used to be you could only send one wrestler per weight class. But a few years ago, they changed it. And I honestly think for the better, where now you can send 14 wrestlers total, but they can be from the same weight class. So you could have 2 or 3 wrestlers in the same weight class and all make it to state. That means that they would have placed in the top 4 at the regional level, and then they would all advance to state together. And indeed, there is a school in our division. Michigan is divided into divisions based on school size. There is a team in our state that has 2 wrestlers and a couple of different weight classes, which means, of course, that then you have some weight classes that are vacant. You don't have anyone from your school representing that weight. Well, this year we only had one wrestler make it to state. I needed my drink. We only had one wrestler make it to state this year, which was really anticipated, just due to injuries that we've had and everything this year. But it is a wrestler that my daughter has known for years and years and years, probably literally for as long as she can remember. She wrestled with him way back when they were both on the same youth league together. He is now currently in 12th grade or a senior in high school. So this will be his very last high school wrestling event. And my daughter is 7th grade, but she has just completed her 3rd year as a junior coach / manager of the high school wrestling team, despite being how young she is. And so tomorrow we're going to take off for Detroit and go and watch Ian on Friday in the individual state tournament. I don't want to make predictions for how he's going to do. I do definitely have some thoughts. Veda does too. We've talked about it and everything. So we do have some thoughts, but I'm not going to share those publicly just because I don't think it's wise to do that. Especially, I don't want to jinx anything or make anything worse. So I will just have to update all of you next week as to how he did. But then the other thing that is happening this weekend is the Big Ten Championship is also happening this weekend, which, if you are not familiar with United States college sports, much like our high schools, there are conferences at the college level too. And so the Big Ten is actually comprised of 14 schools, but it's 14 different Division I or your largest ranked schools in the country, all in the same conference. And so their championship is happening this weekend in Ann Arbor. And it's only once every approximately 14 years that my daughter's favorite college wrestling team, which is the University of Michigan, that they get to host this event. And this year happens to be that year. So we are going to go and watch them this weekend too. And she is so excited. Actually, she had a bit of a conundrum because the way that it works in high school is it's 2 days of wrestling, actually. It is Friday and then Saturday. Friday, you wrestle, and then if you survive Friday, then Saturday is spent wrestling for place. The top 8 kids place in the state. So if you make it through Friday, you are guaranteed a placement or to be called all-state. And Ian should, this is the one thing I will say, Ian should make it to Saturday, and he should place in the top 8. Almost guaranteed. Like I said, I hate saying that because what if something goes drastically wrong? But last year he was 7th. And so, of course, the hope is that this year he'll actually place higher than that. But the Big Ten championship starts on Saturday. And so she's been having a really hard time with, she doesn't want to abandon Ian. She doesn't want Ian to feel bad if she goes to watch Big Ten and not stay to watch him. And so I actually talked with him this past weekend at our youth tournament that we hosted. So our youth wrestling club hosted a tournament on Sunday, and Ian came to volunteer. And my daughter volunteered all day, and I volunteered all day. And I talked to Ian about the situation. And, he said right away, oh no, go to the Big Ten. Like, I'd rather be at the Big Ten than Ford Field, which is where the individual state high school competition takes place. So he went and he talked to her, and he just said to, hey, I heard that you got tickets to the Big Ten. Definitely go to that. So once he talked to her, then she felt much better about it. But, I said to her too, I'm sure we can FaceTime his bouts on Saturday. You can definitely text him afterward. It'll be okay. It's just, there's quite the difference where Saturday we would actually be spending more money ironically, spending more money to watch just Ian wrestle than we would to go to the Big Ten Championship, which will host 14 of the best wrestlers in the country. And several of these wrestlers, it will be the very end of their college careers versus Ian, like he said to Veda, I'm not done wrestling. You can still come and watch me wrestle next year in college because he's going to college to wrestle. And so we will definitely go and watch him wrestle yet. He is not done. So all of that made sense to her. And so Saturday and Sunday, we will be in Ann Arbor watching the Big Ten Championship. And of course, now that, I myself am totally into wrestling as well, thanks to my daughter and realizing my kid absolutely adores this sport, I guess I better learn this sport. And then I learned the sport and I went, this sport is awesome. I'm pretty excited about it too. The only downside is I really don't like being away from home. If it were possible for me to stay home and attend these events, that would be my ideal situation. Unfortunately, that's just not possible. So we are taking off tomorrow, and then we will actually have to stay in a hotel for 3 nights total. So when I put my son to bed tonight, he was a crying mess because he doesn't want me to go. He'll be fine. He'll be so busy that he'll kind of even forget that I'm gone. I'll be so busy that I'll kind of forget that I'm not home. But yeah, I really don't enjoy staying other places. It's not even that I don't like traveling. It's I don't like staying other places. I don't like sleeping in beds where strangers have slept. I don't like using bathrooms where strangers have used the bathroom. I don't like using things that aren't mine. Does that make sense, or is that just like really weird? I like my stuff. I like being here where I know everything that is here, and it all, it smells like my house and my things, and it feels like my things because it is my things. I just don't enjoy staying somewhere else. So if it were possible to like see the world, but always be able to return, got a weird glue dot in here that's causing me trouble, but possible to always return to your house every night, I would be in heaven. So we got to get going with like a time machine should ought to be able to do that, right? Like, if you had a time machine, you could like go and see everything, but then always like reverse time and go back home. Or a transporter, we need like a Star Trek transporter type thing where you just vaporize and your molecules just travel at the speed of light. And you can just go between, oh, hey, look, I'm in Berlin, but now it's getting to be 10 o'clock at night and I'm ready to go to bed. Oh, hey, look, I'm back in my house. Except I know time change and stuff. I'm going to have to think about this one a little bit to try and figure out how that would work. Although I guess with time change, like you could like keep yourself on like Berlin 6 hours ahead. So like I could keep my schedule on Berlin time every day. And then I'd just come home and I'd sleep for like 8 hours and I'd shower at home and change at home and get ready at home. Because that's the other thing. It takes like 2 to 3 times longer to get ready in a hotel because nothing is in the right spot. You have to pack everything and then you have to find it all. And like I have everything perfectly situated for myself every morning so that, here's my toothbrush and my toothpaste is right here. And like you got a whole system worked out every morning. Does this make sense? Am I just crazy? So anyway, that's my future plan right there is I will figure out this whole like molecular transport thing so that I can travel without actually having to stay overnight anywhere other than at my own house and with my own people. So anyway, that is my weekend. So whether they get a snowstorm here on Friday or not, I don't know. I won't be here. I will be on the other side of the state where, they're only predicted to get like maybe an inch of snow versus our 6 inches. So, the rest of my family might be rather miserable. No, they'll be fine. Actually, I think the weather forecast has gotten better. Like maybe only 4 inches now. I don't know. Anyway, they will be fine. Just fine. And my son will be fine. Like I said, he'll be so busy, he won't even hardly notice that I'm not home. And I will be so busy that I'm still going to notice that I'm not sleeping in my own bed. And I still will not sleep for days because I don't ever sleep well at a hotel. Do you guys sleep well at hotels? I do not sleep well at a hotel. Actually, let's make that our community question. And this glue dot. All right, so community question time. If you are new, as often as I can, I like to ask what I call a community question. So part of the reason why I started my YouTube channel in the first place was in an effort and an interest in getting to know and connect with other people who maybe share similar interests as me, or maybe don't share any interests with me at all, but yet still find interesting kind of like common ground, just getting to know people, trying to build a community. And so one way that I try and establish that although I need more of you people to just take a minute and provide an answer and then read other people's answers, is by asking a community question. And the community questions are not meant to be invasive or really personal or anything like that. They're just very generally fun, generic type questions, getting to know you type questions. And I love to read what other people have to say. And I also encourage everyone to then look through and see what other people have written too. And maybe you'll meet a new friend. So today's community question is actually just that. Do you enjoy traveling? Do you enjoy staying in hotels? What are your thoughts on staying in hotels? I would love to know. Now, you don't need to leave me a big, long diatribe. You can just leave me a short little, yeah, I think hotels are awesome because I don't have to clean up after myself. Cool beans. You don't need to leave like a big, long explanation. However, if you would like to, that's fine because I read all comments and I do respond to basically all comments. So if you want to leave a big, long explanation, please go right ahead and know that I will indeed look at it and read it. And now you know how I feel about hotels. But see, this is the thing. Veda, my daughter, loves hotels. The kid, it's kind of weird because she's so much like me, but yet she really loves hotels. So I think that's also part of the reason why she can't wait to leave. Not only is it a weekend of wrestling, but it's also 3 nights in a hotel. And she just thinks hotels are so cool. And I honestly have never felt that way, even when I was a kid. Even at her age, she just turned 13. I never liked staying in hotels. So I don't know. I guess that's my daughter. So anyway, what is the rest of my family planning to do while we are enjoying a weekend full of wrestling? My husband had a couple of different ideas that he was floating around, things that they could do with the kids. He had mentioned taking them to Goodwill or a consignment shop. First we have donations, but also I know my kids love shopping at consignment stores. So they are really excited about that possibility. Oh, which reminds me, I owe my youngest daughter $2 for doing a chore that I had asked her to do. So I have got to remember to get that and set that out for her because she's going to want that on Saturday. So they talked about doing that, maybe seeing if the girls wanted to try and get together with a friend over the weekend. Yeah, I don't know. I know this. Oh, I know my youngest daughter is planning on baking lots of bread. She has really gotten into baking. She did quite a bit of it over our snow days over the last 2 weeks, which there have been a lot of them. The kids have been home a lot over the last 2 weeks. So she's really gotten into baking. She's really enjoyed baking bread. And so I know she does have like sandwich bread that she is planning to make this weekend and some other kind of bread that I can't remember now that she told me about. So she plans to bake some bread. I'm sure my oldest will, be texting her friends and probably sketching, working on some artwork stuff, because that's what she does. My son, God bless him. He is my heart and soul, but he's 7. And no really great playmates at home because his sisters are all several years older than him. So he can get to be a bit much. So my husband will probably end up playing a lot of video games with my son this weekend, which is okay. It's not all bad. And like I said, he really is my heart and soul. He is such a sweet boy. He's funny. He's smart. He's inquisitive. But yeah, he can get to be a bit much, which for any of you who, you have kids that age, you understand. You love them more than anything on the planet. But it can get to be a little overwhelming after a while. So hopefully my husband will be all right. Actually, so my son, the immunology wizard, the 7-year-old boy who loves the immune system, he is absolutely convinced that he's growing a beard. I mean, like, I've brought this up before, but he is truly, thoroughly convinced of it. He informed me the other day that his genes are really weird. He has weird genes. Genes as in, like, the building blocks of your body. Your DNA genes. Yes, he has really weird genes because there's 2 things that give him really weird genes. The first one, he has brown eyes. And the second one is he's already growing a beard. That's what he told me. What is my dog doing? Oh, no, it was my husband rubbing my dog's belly. That's what it was. So yes, the brown eyes, that is kind of interesting just because neither my husband nor I have brown eyes. And none of our parents have or had brown eyes. The closest family that had brown eyes comes from, I know for sure, my mom's parents. Both of them? I know my grandpa did. My grandma maybe did too. But that's the closest that I know of for a brown-eyed connection. And brown eyes, of course, are a dominant trait. So it's very odd or unusual that he would have brown eyes when neither of his parents do. And none of his sisters do either. So that's thing number 1. And then thing number 2 is the fact that he's only 7 years old and he's already growing a beard. Guys, he's not. He is not growing a beard. He just thinks he's growing a beard, but he is absolutely convinced of it. Oh, he's a funny, funny boy. If you would like to get to know him a little bit more, why am I timing this out? Okay, hold on. All right, I'm back. So that was my husband pausing me because he got like hyper paranoid. And now he's angry with me because I'm revealing that he got hyper paranoid. He's like, you maybe better reveal that he does, have my genetic disease so that they know that he is, really, our kid. Guys, my son's father and mother are me and my husband. It is undeniable. We got the DNA proof to back it up. He just happens to have brown eyes. So now you all know, and my husband can rest easy knowing that you are now publicly made aware of the fact that he is indeed the father of all of my children. There you go. I love him. I do. I love my husband very, very much. But he was very concerned about that. So now you all know. I have spoken about the genetic disease in the past too. Actually, yesterday was Rare Disease Day, or like Rare Disease Awareness Day. I'm not going to talk any more about it right now, but you can definitely look back over my WIP chats. And there was one WIP chat in particular that I did spend like the last 15 minutes or so really kind of going into what the disease is, but it's called von Hippel-Lindau. And it affects my husband and 3 of my 4 kids. The only child who does not have it is actually Veda, or daughter number 2. So anyway, yes, my son and his weird genes, according to him. What else is going on? Oh, well, you know what? Sunday we had like an amazing view of the northern lights here. Except that we didn't because we live in the woods and we couldn't see them through the trees. But everyone else who, happened to live in a field had these just amazing and awesome pictures of the northern lights Sunday night. And then, of course, Monday is when we got hammered by the ice storm. one day, I will see the Northern Lights, but it's not going to be from my house. Actually, I think I did see them last summer when I was in the UP, come to think of it. But anyway, I'd like to be able to see them from my house. It's just we live in the woods, so that's probably never going to happen. So this weekend more or less kind of marks the official end of wrestling season. My husband likes to joke that wrestling season never really ends. And he is not correct by that. Wrestling season does end with some other extra activities that then happen. So, yes, officially though, wrestling season is done after this weekend, for high school. Youth wrestling continues for the rest of the month, but I think my son is done this year. My daughter might still go and help out a little bit. She's been helping out with the younger kids at practice, so she might still do that, but I think my son's probably done. But then high school is for sure done after this weekend. And then it's things like you have the NCAA tournament coming up in a couple of weekends, which Veda and we always find a way, or hopefully find a way to be able to stream that so that we can watch that. And there's also, of course, the end of year wrestling banquet, if you will, for the high school team. So we'll have to go to that. And then generally in May, or sometimes at the end of April, there is a fundraiser that is put on, usually a spaghetti dinner with like a silent auction, and you can also bid on a wrestler. And that's just a fundraiser to raise money, not just for the program, but also for a camp that they go to every year, which takes place in the Upper Peninsula, which if you've listened to this whole thing, you now know Upper Peninsula of Michigan, the part that's connected to Wisconsin, but we have to go over this big bridge in order to get to it from the Lower Peninsula. Yes. So, and last year I took my daughter up there, and she's really hoping to be able to go again this year too. She's kind of a special case, though, because she does not wrestle herself, which is stuff that I've spoken about many times in the past, but she still likes to be able to go, and she hangs out with the coach, and they talk wrestling, and she thinks it's awesome. And I loved it last year because we stayed close enough that she could just walk to the camp herself, and so I could take my time getting ready in the morning. And I didn't mind that, even though we had to stay in a hotel. I didn't mind that aspect of it. So there's the fundraiser dinner, and then that will happen. And then, of course, there is the wrestling camp, and that will happen in June. But then there isn't anything until the middle of November when the next season starts. So see, wrestling season really does end. Even though my husband does not think so. But what that means in our household, things don't really necessarily lighten up, because then we shift into all of the spring activities, which the Quiz Bowl competitions begin in a couple of weeks. Quiz Bowl is brand new this year. We've never done Quiz Bowl before. The district hasn't done Quiz Bowl apparently in lots and lots of years. And both my middle and youngest daughter are in Quiz Bowl, so those competitions will begin. My oldest daughter had started doing Quiz Bowl, but then she decided she didn't want to do Quiz Bowl anymore. Youngest daughter begins volleyball pretty soon. 2 or 3 of my daughters will start track and field pretty soon. What else goes on? I don't know. It just continues to stay crazy. Plus, of course, like my son continues to have dance class, and pretty soon he'll have rehearsal for his dance recital, and then he'll have his dance recital in May. It's just life with 4 kids is what it is. I mean, it's so busy. It's just so busy. And our spring break is coming up in just a few weeks. That's the last week of March. And we will be pig sitting. Pig sitting, you say? What? Yes, pig sitting. So friends of ours who live around the corner from us, which again, this is around the corner country style, meaning they live within a mile of our house, which means they are practically super close neighbors because they live within a mile of our house. But they get pigs every year for a couple of their kids they show pigs in 4-H. But they always go away over spring break. So they got the pigs this past weekend, and then they'll be gone over spring break, and so they need somebody to pig sit. And so we pig sit. And last year, it was a disaster. It was an absolute disaster. And it ended up being some of the coldest days of the entire year. Their water froze. One pig had eating issues. I mean, it was horrible. It was so bad that when my friend asked me last night via text message if we'd be willing to pig sit again, and I said, yes, we'll pig sit again. I just hope it goes better than last year. Ha ha ha. She actually texted back, I was really afraid that you were going to say you weren't going to do it this year. And I said, no, we are definitely your best option, and we love you guys. We will pig sit. So we have pig sitting coming up, and I will fill you in on the pig sitting when we get to that. It's just, this is kind of how things carry on around here. That's our life. It's always busy. And the day will come when suddenly it won't be so busy anymore. Maybe. I mean, maybe not. Is it always this busy even after your kids are grown? I mean, I feel like it isn't, right? Like, I don't know. For those of you with grown children, tell me. Like, does it slow down? I need to know. Oh boy. In diamond painting news, hold on, I need more to drink. All right, so in diamond painting news, I don't know if you saw this, but I did post it on my community feed here, as well as I posted something on Instagram, and it's been all over in the diamond painting community. But Jade from JadedGemShop, she had quite the flood happen at her storage facility. I don't know if you're aware, but of course, weather all over the country has been quite crazy lately, and SoCal, Southern California, has just been hammered with rain and snow and, very not typical California type weather. And her storage facility got flooded bad. She had pictures and all of that stuff posted. I think this was Sunday. Was it Saturday or Sunday? I don't even remember now when that came to light. When she and her husband stopped by and saw that they had lost so much merchandise, as well as electronic equipment and, just a huge, huge loss. So she has been having a sale all week, and she did tell me that it for sure is carrying on through tomorrow. I can't remember. Might be Saturday. I don't know, but for sure Thursday, which will be the day that you're listening to this. So Thursday, March 2nd, but it may actually go all the way through March 4th or Saturday. She is offering 20% off from any sale in her shop, just in an effort to try and recoup losses, which her last report as of last night was that they have recouped enough losses to be able to purchase the electronic equipment back that she will need. So that is a huge success. But I know when she messaged me earlier in this week and I was asking her about it, she did want to keep the sale open even beyond when they had recouped losses, which would have happened for the electronic equipment, at least anyway, which that would have happened as of yesterday. But she wanted to keep it open for sure through, like I said, either Thursday, which is the day you're listening to this, March 2nd, or Saturday, March 4th, just as a thank you to the community, because so many people rallied behind her and took advantage of her sale and shared that she was having the sale. But anyway, Jade just has an awesome selection of stuff. And I did an unboxing just a few weeks ago. It was a triple unboxing. And so if you kind of want to get an idea of what some of her art and stuff looks like and the quality of her kits, watch that unboxing. And I am going to go ahead and link her site here as well, so you can go and check it out there. The sale is listed right at the top of her site. I think the code word is like flood sale for 20% off from your order. She just launched a set of, currently there's 8 miniature cross-stitch conversion kits, which, if you're not familiar with cross-stitch conversions, that's something that I'm slated to be doing later this year with all of you. But you can convert any cross-stitch pattern into a diamond painting. The problem is generally that results in these enormous diamond paintings, just enormous. I actually have one that I have gotten that Jade put together for me, but I have not touched it. I have not even looked at it, just because it's an enormous project. It is, for me, a summer project when I do tend to have more time available. But it is, and this is like a smaller one, and I think it's 90 by 90 centimeters, which, if you're at all familiar with diamond paintings, that is a huge painting. And I'm quite certain it better not anyway, because I don't even know how I'd reach the center of that canvas. But I think it comes in, it might be 4 different canvas pieces, just because a 90 by 90 square, there's like no way you could do the stuff in the middle. Like, it's too far to reach. But like I said, I've not even looked at it. But anyway, because of that, a lot of people get scared off from doing cross-stitch conversions because they tend to be large. They can be kind of confusing to figure out how to follow the cross-stitch pattern on your canvas. So she has actually taken and made 3 small. They're all about 30 by 30 centimeters, which is a pretty small diamond painting. So they're all about 30 by 30 in size. And it is a cross-stitch conversion. And so what you get from her is you get a blank canvas and you get your drills that you need. And then she will provide you with the paper pattern, or you can request to have a digital pattern sent to you. And it is, I think, an awesome way to take just that tiny, like, little baby step into trying a cross-stitch conversion. And truthfully, I really want to get one of those mini conversion kits. And I really, really want to do that before I try and tackle my big one. So, I don't know if I'm going to be able to figure out how to make that work, but I really want to get one of those mini ones. And there's a couple of really cute ones. There's 2 that, if I can swing it, if I can figure out how to get one, there's 2 that I'm debating between. I don't know which one I'm going to do, but I really think I would like to do one of those minis first, just to, get my hand practiced at it and reading the chart off from my Kindle Fire, because there's a program, Pattern Keeper, I think is what it's called, that you use on a tablet. And so anyway, that's really awesome. But yeah, definitely just go check her out. Check out her website. If you can help her out at all, that would be awesome. If you can't, just let other people know that there's someone in the community who could use a little love right now. Maybe try and send them her direction. I know she would really appreciate it. There have been a few people in the community recently who have been hit hard with stuff. And I just think it's really important to try and support all of them as best as we can. That's I feel like that's part of what we do. You know, that should be kind of part of our responsibility within this community. But that's, I mean, maybe that's just me, but that's how I feel about it. All right, guys, I really don't know. I'm dropping drills. I got to change my putty on this. So actually, this is probably a good point to end this for now. I'm so close to being done with this one. I'm so excited. But I think this is probably a good place to end this right here. I have a lot that I need to do. I still have to pack and everything for my weekend away. I got drills kind of flying all over the place. You know, that should be a community question one week, is where are the craziest places that you have found drills if you're a diamond painter? I'm going to save that one. You can answer it now, but I think that's a conversation piece right there in itself. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. I hope that you're having a great week. I hope that your weather is cooperating. Maybe it's even a little spring-like by you, unless, of course, you're like in the southern hemisphere, in which case you might start to feel some autumn hints in the air right now. But thank you for joining me. I'm so glad you stopped by. And please do remember to like this video and subscribe if this content has been somewhat of interest to you. I would definitely appreciate it. But like I always say, please practice kindness. You just never know what someone is going through. So just be kind. It's just easier and better in the long run. And in return, I hope that you are shown that same level of kindness. I hope that you're having a wonderful, wonderful day, and I will see you again real soon.